Long ago, before modern words and labels existed, people named things by what they saw, not by how someone identified. In ancient times, there was a city called Sodom. Sodom was known, not for love, but for pride. Not for compassion, but for excess. Not for care of the weak, but for abuse of power. The people of Sodom had food, shelter, wealth, and time, yet they hardened their hearts. They ignored the poor. They mocked righteousness. They twisted what was meant to protect into something that consumed. God sent warnings. God sent messengers. But the city laughed. And when strangers arrived at their gates, instead of hospitality, they were met with violence and domination. Not desire rooted in love, but control rooted in corruption. That is why the city fell. Centuries later, as nations formed laws and dictionaries, they looked back at Scripture to name certain acts that mirrored the same moral collapse. They called those acts sodomy, not after people, but after a place that had become a symbol of what happens when pride replaces humility and desire replaces order. In the 1700s, dictionaries did not speak of identity. They spoke of behavior. And so the words sodomy and buggery appeared, echoing the ancient story, reminding society of a line once crossed. But the Bible never stopped at judgment. It also spoke mercy. It said Sodom's greatest sin was not one act alone, but a heart that refused correction. This was the sin of your sister Sodom: pride, fullness of bread, and neglect of the poor. The story was never meant to create hatred. It was meant to warn. A warning that when truth is mocked, compassion dies. When power is abused, people suffer. When God is rejected, disorder follows. And yet, even in warning, Scripture leaves the door open. Because the same God who judged Sodom also said, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice." The story of Sodom is not about pointing fingers. It is about remembering what happens when a society forgets humility, justice, and love. And it asks every generation the same quiet question: what fruit are we producing?